Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Logan Lee, the CEO of Wine Awesomeness. That an awesome name for a company. How you doing, Logan?
I am fantastic. How's everything going on the west coast of our lovely country?
It's going good. It's actually we're supposed to get rain today. It's been a while, so it's good. We need it. Um, so to start with, can you tell us about a little brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. Yeah, Mark. Wine Awesomeness. We are, I think, past the phase of a startup. We're pretty just a business that's really just trying to reinvest every year, grow, grow, and grow. But this year we'll turn 8 years old, actually in July. So in 2021, once we get past this crazy year.
Mhm.
And we really started with a focus on just making wine fun, interesting, cool, accessible. My friend group, we found ourselves drinking wine and I wish I could say we did a bunch of research into it, but we quickly discovered that millennials were just the biggest wine drinking generation ever. We're interested in exploring wines from all over the world, a very discovery oriented product. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And me and a college buddy named Dale Sleer, we decided that we'd be crazy enough to build a website and see if people would come to it and buy some wine. And I like to say that we were naive in the best ways and the worst ways. We were been friends since college and and know each other extremely well, but started the business in Charleston, South Carolina. And we also quickly learned that we didn't have enough mentors. We didn't understand how to raise capital. We needed better expertise. And I think a lot of people still realize, even to this day, I mean, e-commerce is still pretty new. I mean, we think of Amazon has become ubiquitous, and people like Walmart are trying to catch up. But the idea that you can make an order online and something be delivered tomorrow is just not how things have always been. And especially within the wine side of that, I think wine has been one of the bigger laggards into really convenient delivery via a online marketplace. And so we've been at it for 8 years, just plodding away, slowly kind of figuring it out, and hopefully helping just build the industry and pay it forward a bit, and just keep our heads down and keep grinding away and making the digital site better, making better choices for wine, and making it easier to get it in our customers' hands.
Interesting. So, I mean, do you think wine has lagged behind in e-commerce because people want to taste it first, or do you think it's more? And I know there's some states that have some laws against shipping wine, right? So you think it's a little bit of both?
I think there's a couple areas. I mean, obviously 8 years ago, the compliance and regulatory environment was really not in place. So you had all states with different rules and a lot of legal stuff that's still over my head, but wasn't really in place over the last years. States like California have really led the way because there's such a robust wine business. And now basically, depending on a few different things, it's most states, there is a direct to consumer route to get wine delivered. I think the second piece of it, sending wine in a UPS or FedEx or whatever carrier you're using, it's expensive to ship. It's heavy. Yes. So I think figuring out the business model is still pretty challenging for a lot of people. And then third, I like e-commerce it's a new thing, and buying wine is a little bit different. A lot of times people ask me who is the Wine Awesomeness biggest competition, and I usually surprise them with the answer. I think it's when there's really good wine shops in a lot of neighborhoods across the US that anybody can just walk over and get, that can be more convenient than picking out wine on a website and having it delivered, and you have to sign for it. I mean, there's a few barriers there, but slowly year over year it was growing, and for a lot of reasons. One, millennials just buying more and more wine. Two, that I think there's become better choices on a handful of different online wine shops, and three, this year, I don't know if you've been around, but a little thing called COVID-19 is pushed a lot of demand online.
Yeah, I've heard there's actually there's been an increase in alcohol sales in general this year.
Yeah, I think there's multiple reasons people are drinking.
Yeah.
We just like it's a challenging time for sure, and we just hope that we can get enough good wine to people's homes that they can make it through the week.
Yeah, and we could have a whole podcast on that, but we'll just say a pandemic and an election. That's enough reason right there, right?
Sure.
So it would seem like your business naturally opens itself up to remote work because your producers are all over the world, literally, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a pretty lean team, and I think we work very well independently, and there's not a lot of bureaucracy within our kind of our corporate structure. So I think one, we had that really going for us, and then two, I mean, it is a digital business, but I love being in the office. I love the creativity of throwing ideas around and spitballing and company happy hours and really like actually hanging out with the team is a lot of fun. So for me, a lot of that is still a bit of a struggle. As much as getting on Zoom with your whole team and having a Zoom happy hour is not the same thing as being with people in person. But the nature of our work, what really surprised me as the business really the growth just was crazy this year, is how well we were able to work, whether we were working from kitchen tables across the United States or home offices, or we had team members building offices on porches outside, and just whatever it was, how well we were able to kind of ride this wave of additional demand and deliver a great service, even though all of us were basically in all different cities. And as I mentioned to you, I'm down I took the opportunity to come down to Puerto Rico and be on some great weather and work on a little real estate, while all being able to just log in and be able to be attached with the team, whether it's Zoom or Google Meets or whatever pieces of technology that we were using. But it was really cool to see that the team that we built over the last few years be able to execute at a very high level, and I would say very strange times.
Yes. And do you have employees all over the world, or are you mainly North America?
We're all US based. We work with different agencies that have people in different countries, from on the develop engineering side, and some other pieces of the business are in Eastern Europe. We work with the supply chain. We work with wine vendors basically on every continent except I guess Antarctica, and I don't think we have any wine coming out of Asia, but I'm sure we've done some sake or something. But I mean, it's truly a global business, working with winemakers from South Africa to New Zealand to Australia. We did it in the midst of the first major lockdown. We did a really awesome wine happy hour with one of our favorite winemakers, Daniel Brennan, in New Zealand, and he literally just set up a table in the middle of his vineyard, and we had a few hundred people join us as we did a little Q&A.
Cool.
So in a lot of ways, I think we were forced to get innovative, and I think some really cool things happened, and people wanted that community, and that is at least something that we can, I think, hold on to as a positive piece of this challenging situation.
Well, now that you've gone remote, what do you think is the future of remote employment, since you've adjusted to it?
Yeah, I think I don't think you go back to a world where people work 9 to 5. I know we were based in New York City, and I have a really deep group of friends that are engineering, banking, across the world. And actually my partner in this little project down here in Puerto Rico that we're calling Motel Rincon, he's an engineer, and he'll work remote at least till July 2021. And I don't know how you put that cat back in the bag.
Right.
A lot of people, and it's the same thing with finance people that really that actually the businesses have been doing really well too, that they were used to working ungodly hours and having to be in an office in Midtown Manhattan, and now they haven't had to do that for 6+ months. I don't know how you go back to demanding that anymore. And I think I think the most innovative companies will step up and create a new kind of work paradigm, and that it'll be a new normal.
So, I mean, wine awesomeness is obviously, we know what your product is, but what is your business model? And you said you're mainly millennials, but I would think too, anybody would be a potential customer, right? Anybody over the age of 21.
Yeah, I think exactly. Nobody under 21, 100% sure. I think that we definitely really do. I think we have a young, fun voice, but it's really about making wine less pretentious, more open and accessible. And at the end of the day, it's just grapes. It's not like there's some very expensive wine out there, and that's great. We really, from the price point, we're in like the $15 to $22 range for the 85-90% of the wines that are featured on the site, making it wine easy to learn about, easy to get to your door, and just fun learning about it. So I think we've our kind of like tip of the spear has been the millennial generation, but I really think it's more of a spirit than a specific sticking to a specific demographic or an age range. Our customers are also tend to be 65% female too,
Really?
which is interesting. I think actually women do most of the buying online, period, anyways. But so that's been something interesting to learn. But for the business model, until this year is about 50-50. Our version of a subscription, our version of a wine club, which you can customize by types of wine, how many bottles, and stuff like that. Each bottle is paired with a recipe, music, the stories behind the bottle, really just trying to kind of dive deeper into why we think that bottle and those winemakers are so cool. The other half of the business, which I think is probably now, I'd have to look again, is probably now closer to 60%, is just a la carte e-commerce. You can come to the wine shop, build your own pack. And if you are living on the East Coast or the West Coast, I mean, it's pretty much 2-day delivery, and it's free delivery regardless for us. But we need to spin up a third fulfillment center to really hit the middle of the country, but it's still within 3 days. We probably cover 80% of the country within 3 days. And if you're in New York or San Francisco, in the Bay Area, you probably get your box the next day.
Interesting. And so you have a fulfillment center in San Francisco?
In Napa, and then our East Coast is upstate New York.
Oh, okay, very good. I might have to take a trip up there this weekend.
I'm sure we can hook you up with some wine, Mark.
Well, thank you. So how did you incorporate the idea of remote in your company? It sounds like you had already done it before COVID. I could be wrong on that. And then you were forced to do it with COVID 100%. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were always open to people working. We really just trust. I mean, if we're gonna bring on a team member with somebody, we always had unlimited vacation, and we've always had the tools in place to make it easy to work from wherever you are. If you're hopping on a plane and you needed to log into our project management tool because something needed to get fixed, we just always built the company to make it really easy to work from wherever you are, which I think just made it easy for us to go 100% remote. That it was definitely forced. And like I said, I love being with the team and hanging out and spitballing ideas. I think that's a lot of, and I do wonder if we're missing some innovation just out of the sheer creativity that happens by people talking more. And as much as we can do different Zoom calls and different stuff like this, that I do wonder if we miss some serendipity. But we were set up that it was very easy to plug and play from wherever you are. If you could get access to the internet, you could do your job.
Interesting. So it sounds like the one challenge that COVID did pose you for your company was increased volume, right? Which is actually a good problem to have. But were there any other challenges that you didn't expect?
Well, what was interesting is, I mean, we really about tripled our volume month over month, March 2020 to April 2020. Like, it was a really hockey stick type of growth. But what also was happening, since restaurants and bars were mostly closed, there was a big supply, a glut of inventory in the supply chain as well, and so people just started calling us, that were vendors that we had never worked with, looking for an outlet to sell wine, because we were basically, I remember sitting in my apartment and and all these shutdown orders are cascading across the country. And I was wondering, I was like, we need to batten down the hatches. I don't even know if we're going to be able to be in business next week, much less that this thing is about to be such fast growth. And then once we got word that we were an essential business, it was just day after day. You just couldn't believe. It was really, we were just hunting and working with, building a deeper and deeper relationship with our vendors. And I think our best wine partners really understand that direct to consumer, a version of e-commerce wine is becoming more and more prevalent. It's just wine was just the slowest to evolve, and there hasn't been like a big brick and mortar wine retailer that's gone out of business because they couldn't adapt to kind of where things are going. And now I think this was just a giant kind of just a moment where we all just pushed fast forward for a couple years into where anything that people are buying, especially staples, wine, food, stuff from a convenience store, you name it. If it's a utility, I feel like, and you can operate in a digital world with really convenient delivery, you're going to be able to outcompete the businesses that were set up as a brick and mortar type of business.
Yeah. So finally, there's companies like Gabriel that help develop, build, and scale products. I mean, you have a website, so you've obviously done that, and you said your partner is in charge of all the technical stuff. How important do you think that'll be going forward for companies that need those types of services?
I mean, I think most businesses that have a significant brick and mortar footprint should have been investing in their infrastructure, their technology infrastructure years ago. I mean, I think and a lot of companies are just, I think, caught flat-footed, and it is a bit of a, excuse my language, oh shit moment. But hey, that's why there's nothing wrong with looking around in whatever sector you're in, and looking around and seeing if there's some young whippersnapper innovators out there that could swoop up. And you saw what Walmart did a couple of years ago, buying Jet.com. I mean, acquisition, I think, you probably see more of that type of stuff. But it's definitely going to be interesting. And it's a crazy world, but I think the companies that are set to thrive in this virtual digital world are going to be successful just from a talent point of view.
Right.
Once you realize you don't have to sit at a desk from 9 to 5, and that you can kind of break up your day differently and be anywhere. Like, I feel super fortunate to be about 20 yards from the beach in Puerto Rico and still do my job. That's a game changer for a lot of people.
That is quite nice. Well, Logan, I want to thank you for your time today. I know it's basically the weekend there. I have a feeling you have a good bottle of wine you're ready to open up and maybe head to
always.
Always. What do you have ready to open up? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so actually that winemaker I mentioned in New Zealand that we did that Zoom happy hour, he has some new red wines that are just getting into the States. It's called Decibel Wines, and I'm going to check out his Pinot Noir, so I'm excited for it.
So, and if you ever need anybody to do tasting for you in Napa, I'm an hour and a half away. Feel free to give me a call. And enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Mark. You as well.
All right.